haven't seen a shower in weeks, let alone a roof. Every time I blinked, I saw the crime scene. The blood. Her hair. What the hell are you doing in here? You know we have an interview today.
I was getting ready to let you host the next episode of Two Guys, Same Person.
Yeah,
Hi,
sure you were.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
how are
doing
you?
just great. Now, if you'll get the hell out of here,
No,
I
I
got
like
an
that.
Arnim to
No,
interview.
that's a good idea. No, I'm out of here.
Bye.
You guys
Have a good day.
Time. God. Hey, you forgot your dumb hat.
Oh, let's do this. Plays guitar for Wine Dark Sea, correct?
That's correct.
You write some of the music, or is it more of a collaborative thing with them?
It's collaborative,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've written a couple of the ones that we've been playing live so far, and then I also write a lot of solo stuff as well.
Yeah. So I know you. There's been a couple of episodes recently where that first show with Wine Dark Sea, Antillion, how that all kind of came to be. Was when Mia was still in the band. Mike and Mia met at a hairdresser. So I've got Antillion's kind of side. So how does Wine Dark Sea start? And then how does that lead up to Mia then getting a haircut and then you guys have a show?
So Wine Dark Sea didn't start as Wine Dark Sea, I guess.
Okay.
It was formed by Mia and I. We met on Bandmix. I'd been looking for a while to start a band with somebody because obviously I love playing music and writing music. And she hit me up and she's like, "Hey, I like your songs. You want to do something?" And so I agreed to meet her and we got along and we decided to try and do something with it. And I was always more like the shy artist type, whereas she was a really good sort of networker, and I think she used to do recruiting, something like that. So
she's good in those initial conversations.
Yeah, so we were both looking for members, but she had a lot more success than I did at finding the rest of the band, Sam and Vi and Clay, and we did like interviews with them, and they all fit pretty well.
Nice.
But she was just like sort of that outgoing person who could make a friend anywhere she went.
Still is, man. Mia's the best.
Yeah, she is great. I need to talk to her more. She's
So Mia is essentially the tornado that drags in all the influences. It goes through a couple of iterations. Suddenly, you guys are Wine Dark Sea. Had you played before? Was that your all's first show?
The Brothers show?
No, the one... Oh, I guess, yeah, that would have been Brothers.
The Brothers show was our first show. Your House was the second show.
You're right. That's wild. So that was your all's very first show out. That was when Brothers didn't even have their stage yet.
Yeah, that was when I had to play my guitar through a PA because
it was
Ricky Liontones showed up late and didn't bring the second guitar amp.
Yeah. They would move the pool table across, just out of the way. And
that's right.
Then they had like a little raised platform, and then they built that stage. And now, kind of like every time they do something, they're nesting into their idea there, which is really neat.
I was really impressed a couple weeks ago when I went and supported Antillion and saw sort of the evolution of the stage that they had built.
Seriously.
And obviously, I followed along, like, on your Instagram. I'm seeing they've got the open mic nights now.
Yeah, they're trying new stuff. They're really investing in the community out here. They're not really putting it on a lot of, like, restrictions. You know, like, you can't play unless you bring this many people, or really restrictive. Oh, we only email you if you have, 25,000 listeners a month, whatever. Some of these, legitimate venues, like Aragon Ballroom, right? It's not going to give us a call. Because they have they're planned out, 6, 7, 8 months in advance. Whereas Brothers is a really cool spot because it's a legitimate brick and mortar venue, but anybody can come and do anything. They're open for fun ideas. And I think they're going to find an identity in their sound or in just kind of what they're doing. If the community play is their play, I think it's gonna pay off because it's better kind of every time.
Yeah, and we're actually scheduled to play there again in June with No Better Today.
Absolutely.
Noemi's band.
Noemi,
Obviously, you
absolutely.
just talked to her.
So, tell me. Yeah, I was gonna say, Brothers brings me back to Wine Dark Sea. Tell me about your all's future. I know Mia has since part of the band,
Yes.
as band members do. You guys
Unfortunately,
still
yeah,
exist,
she had
though.
some other things she wanted to focus
Yep.
on.
And so, but you guys are still a unit.
We are still a unit. It's been a little bit hard to try and get in touch with everybody.
That happens.
Everybody's been really busy lately with, I mean, some people are moving, some people are switching jobs, whether
Right.
intentionally or unintentionally. So I guess life has gotten in the way a little bit of us being able to meet and rehearse.
Yeah.
And it still seems like at times we're all a little bit hesitant to like be the one that pushes things forward, and I can't hold the high ground or claim that I'm doing better.
No, I get what you're saying.
Because I get nervous, too,
Identifying
'cause-
the struggle, especially with somebody like Mia.
Yeah, because there are past bands where I've sort of like unintentionally wound up sort of taking over and becoming a dictator, and I really am going out of my way not to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when we're not talking to each other and I don't know what I'm supposed to do, it just is like, should I be doing stuff?
Right.
I have the Instagram login. Should I be posting stuff on Instagram more?
Do you have you guys done any like tryouts for a replacement singer or somebody just stepping up?
Yeah, we found a new singer. Her name
Nice.
is Yashin. She's a friend of Vi's. We practiced with her. She joined originally in, I want to say, like early December.
Okay.
She got sick and she missed our show at the Montrose, but in February we played at the Fallen Log with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. I'm so glad that you guys got to play there because we just caught up there.
It
the
was
other
with
day.
Lavender Point and Rise of Leo.
Yes,
Yeah, a lot of
that's the
fun.
lineup.
That was
I
the first time
listening-
I'd ever been there.
I was just listening to some Lavender Point on the doing school pickup today. It's just such a vibe. Rise of Leo, Jay Sanchez, the lead singer, the whole band. Everybody is just that's a great lineup. I like them. I just caught Rise of Leo over at Livewire.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that,
He's
unfortunately.
busy. No,
yeah.
it's kind of tucked away over here. I live 2 blocks away, so I can catch Brothers and Livewire and Sleeping Village and all those kind of areas. But
When you're like me and you don't own a car, like there are large portions of the city that are kind of cut off from you.
yes, even with Ubers and Lyfts and whatever, some things can just be that's all the way over there.
I mean, they can add up.
and
definitely.
it adds up financially for sure. Yeah, these places are generally in walking distance. So that's Wine Dark Sea, but I want to know a little bit more about you. So now that we kind of know how you and I began to know each other, how
Yeah.
did this all start for you? Were you a band kid? Were you raised in a musical cult? Why music?
I was just always really naturally inclined towards it.
Okay.
I have perfect pitch. I sort of grew up being able to like imitate something on the piano
Yep.
by ear. I guess I technically grew up in a musical household. My mom played the piano. My little sister is an actress.
Okay.
My twin sister played in band with me all the way through high school.
Nice.
So originally I wanted to be more of an athlete. Like I tried to be more of a jock because
I
I
can see
enjoyed
that.
playing sports, and I
Yeah.
still enjoy playing sports, but it became pretty clear that music was eventually going to win me over, and I actually am really glad my parents didn't let me quit, because now I couldn't imagine myself like doing anything else.
Good on them. Making sure that you see something through, even if it's just like for the year.
Yeah, they let me
You
change
signed up
instruments,
for
but
it.
they didn't let me give it up.
That's cool. You know what I mean? Especially because it sounds like it's a very creative family. They already knew you were into music. A parent, you know, if they're half paying attention, kind of knows what their kid's into. And just having that knowledge to be like, what did you switch to? Where did you start at, and what did you switch to?
So I took a few piano lessons, but
Okay.
originally I played violin. I did like
Oh.
Suzuki.
Okay.
Around, I want to say 5th grade, I switched to saxophone.
There it is.
First alto, and then I got really into jazz.
Yep.
I played in jazz band the whole time. Switched to tenor sax starting in high school because they
Cool.
needed. There were like 5 altos and 1 bari, so they needed someone to switch to tenor,
Yep.
and they decided it would be me. And I was a jazz tenor saxophonist, and that was my major in college.
Nice. Where'd you go to college?
USC.
Okay. So how does that lead into being in a rock band? I mean, I know that you're probably around other musicians, but why not a jazz band?
That was always where my heart was.
Yeah.
Those were always the songs I was coming up with. I taught myself guitar in high school when my dad bought the family one.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I got really swept up in the emo craze because I was right in junior high when all of that was hitting.
Yep.
Obviously, I have the local connection because Fall Out Boy, 2 of the guys went to my high school.
That's awesome.
So, well, I didn't know them. It was long before I was there.
I know.
But
yeah, I mean, obviously they were, but no, they prolifically are from the Chicago area. One of the guys I interviewed, David Lopez, worked at Gravity Studios, which is, I believe, where they recorded one of their potentially their first album or just some of their earliest recordings were over there at Gravity Studios. So yeah, their shadows are still here.
But yeah, in college I was sort of hesitant to let people know that I liked rock more than I liked jazz because jazz was my major and I wanted to make sure that I kept my professors happy.
Yep.
And as it turned out, a lot of that was just like in my head. And when I did start putting out more music that I liked and forming the first iteration of a rock band, my classmates were actually super supportive.
Good.
So,
have you thought about bringing saxophone into the mix?
I've added it to a couple songs, like sort of where it's warranted.
Okay.
Because I don't really have a creative process. It's just sort of what's floating around in my head.
Nice.
And once or twice, there's been something that sounds a little fusion-y that I've played the saxophone on, but
Cool.
I really haven't played it much since I left college.
Who... You mentioned the emo craze being one of your big rock band influences. Mm-hmm. Who influenced you into jazz in the first place? Was it a specific sound, or did you kind of like just the feeling of playing with people? And
I guess like
fun?
listening to swing and thinking it was way cooler than concert band.
Okay,
like,
totally.
People soloing.
Having fun.
Yeah.
So even just the early twinges of performance and a big
yeah,
show.
Yeah,
and,
100%.
Yeah. And rocking out. I mean, swing is basically the rock and roll of jazz.
Oh yeah, that's the jazz that I still like and that I still occasionally listen to, more like the big band swing, like the bebop, hard bop.
Yep.
Once you start getting into like the weirder shit, that's kind of where it loses me.
Yeah. Music tends to do that, and it starts to blur some really weird lines.
Oh yeah, can I swear? Is that okay?
Of course. Yeah, we're on YouTube, SoundCloud. We can say whatever the hell we want.
Oh my gosh.
So college, growing up in a creative family. What's you said your little sister's an actress. What is she doing?
She is. So she's currently in this like songwriting program that has her flying back and forth between LA and New York.
Nice.
Which
shout out.
I love for her. Her most recent thing was she was on an Audible show called Moriarty.
Nice.
Sort of like a reimagining of Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
In which, what if Moriarty wasn't the bad guy? And she voiced Rose, his dead wife.
Nice.
Yeah, she was working for like a podcast and production company at the time, and they needed someone who could sing opera, and she can sing opera.
Wow.
So,
that's a really cool gig.
It was, yeah. I wish they had kept her for season 2, but
she ever been to one, or has anybody in your family ever been to one of your shows? Rock or jazz, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in high school, yeah, since my twin and I played next to each other.
Fair.
In jazz. Yeah.
Any of your rock shows?
Yeah, my parents have come to some of them. They came to the Brother show. They haven't been able to get to all of them. They went to the show at the Montrose Saloon.
Okay.
They weren't at the house show, so they haven't met you.
That's all right. I'm sure we'll bump into each other. I know you said you got that show coming up.
Unfortunately, they're not. I was going to try and get them to come to the Backyard Festival, but they'll be at the beach. I'm actually going to delay my flight by a day so I can play before I go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited for
I'm
that
stoked
whole day.
too. Yeah.
It's going to be wild. So you have your own music that you sent me. Like you said, you have your solo stuff. So you said you don't have kind of a creative process, but if you think about the music that you write, is there anything you tend to pick up first? A guitar, sit down at the piano, where you're just like, something's coming out of me today? Where you usually start?
A lot of it's by ear.
Yeah.
It can be a riff that I hear, which can backfire because sometimes I don't know how to play it.
Fair.
Sometimes it's like a lyrical snippet, like, oh, I like that phrase.
Okay.
Or it can be a melodic snippet, like a hook.
That's cool. So you're looking for it anywhere.
I mean,
The way somebody says
different
something,
songs
right?
have come from a lot of different places.
Yeah, keep your mind open.
So, yeah, I think I could use a bit more creative discipline when it comes to like being able to sit down and write something on a deadline,
Right.
which has never been my strong suit, but
Yeah.
it's something that would suit me well in endeavors.
It feels like, because I definitely struggle with the exact same thing, having a focused regiment, or at least even a skeleton of an idea of how the next couple of hours of this process is going to happen. But I tend to also agree that it can come from anywhere, anytime, at any moment. I've had some really cool things come up at like 1:30 in the morning when I'm kind of sleepy and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Or, you're sitting there and you're jamming with somebody else and somebody else plays something and you got to be ready. Even if you're practicing, be like, hey, next 20 minutes, repeat that over and over. Let's write that down and then we'll come back and rehearse the song. So do you really benefit from, I think so, we mentioned it earlier, the collaborative process, having other people in the room where you're like, I have something, then somebody else starts talking and you're like, oh, there we go. Now Clay's playing the drums and now you've got a beat to it.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I need someone else to bounce off of if I really can't get it going.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have like been able to pop something out fully formed and then...
Which is your solo stuff, I would say.
Yeah, but even like one of the songs we've been playing live was one that I just sort of came up with independent from everybody and then just
Cool.
sort of like forced on them.
Here's this, let's play it. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, learning how to play with others again was a bit of a weird process because in previous bands, people just sort of looked to me to do it all. They're just like, yeah, we'll play your songs.
Right.
Just come up with them.
Then you're in that engine.
But I really didn't want that to be the case with Wine Dark Sea, so learning how to compromise, or at least relearning how to compromise, has been an important experience that I probably still could learn to get better at, but
I think these things take time.
it is helping.
Yeah.
And these are like life skills too, not just band
we
skills.
talked about that. We caught each other at book club not too long ago.
That's right.
And we were talking about like the email game and
Oh, God.
reaching out to people and taking the reins and really putting that effort forward. It can be a real struggle in this town, but it's teaching you these skills that you might not already have. Some people come out of college having hit a business class, how to write a professional email, how to have some sort of social media game up so that they can look you up, but not everybody has that experience. So has there been anything, even though you're a smart, college-educated person...
Thank you.
Absolutely. Has there been anything like that you've learned the hard way regarding this sort of creative process when you're trying to take it seriously?
I think I just underestimated the scope of what it takes to lead a band. At least that's what happened on one of the previous ones. Like, it's so much more than just writing songs and playing with your friends, marketing, social media.
Literal physical
And I think one of the
logistics.
toughest pills to swallow was
Yep.
just learning that I can't do it all myself.
Yeah. That's big.
And
That's a big lesson.
I've never been good at asking for help, and I still need to get better at asking for help, but it usually goes well when I do, so I don't know why I can't. That's the stupid
It's an
part.
innate fear that is in all of us. I mean, it's literally, I'm
It's a guy
certain-
thing.
It's a human thing. I'm sure it's devastated civilizations because somebody didn't ask for some.
Oh yeah, we don't want to be
maize.
dependent.
Right.
It makes you feel like a burden.
But I don't think of anybody, especially in our little musical circle, that wouldn't like walk you through whatever. You mentioned Ricky Lantones earlier. I attached myself to him like a little brother, and he'd like look down at me, and he was just like, "All right, here's how you do this." He gave me like my first couple of steps. And there was even a really big lesson where he was playing out in Joliet, and I went and I was like, "Yeah, Ricky, you're the best. Boo everyone else." And he was just like, "That's not how this works. We're all just here having a great time." Which, again, another, he just turned around. He didn't have to give me that lesson. He could have been like, yeah, see ya. But I love that musicians tend to have each other's backs.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm not all the way into the Chicago scene yet. I think I need to branch out even more.
Yeah, I mean, I see you around.
Yeah,
Quite a lot.
but that's still the smaller circle of like, I know the people in Antillion pretty well by now because I've seen them a bunch.
Yep.
Like,
I understand that.
I mean, like I mentioned, I'm cut off from portions of the city just geographically, but
What's close to you? Anything? Bar or venue wise?
so I currently live in Lincoln Park. I'm moving soon.
Okay.
But I'm not that far from Shuba's or Lincoln Hall or
Okay.
Book Club's not that bad actually.
Yeah.
But I just need to get out more. I'm a bit of a homebody at times if you leave it in my own devices.
What are you doing at home? Writing music, playing video games, watching movies, taxidermy?
Watching TV,
Yeah?
just jamming.
What you watching?
Just sort of doing fuck all. Let me see. I just finished Tokyo Vice.
Okay.
I really liked. I took a trip to Japan last year, and
You travel quite a bit.
I have recently.
Yeah.
I was able to save up some money during the pandemic that I decided to use.
Wonderful. Good for you.
Yeah.
So you went to Japan for how long?
8 days.
8 days? What, did you stay in one city?
I went from Tokyo to Kyoto to Osaka, and it was on that trip that not on that trip, but when I got back from that trip, like a memory on that trip immediately spurned what became what's currently my favorite Wine Dark Sea song, the one that I said that I forced on everybody.
Yes.
I was
your
just
Japan
like,
trip. What was it just about the whole
it's about one specific night on the Japan trip where a bunch of us went out to a nightclub in Kyoto and had a really good time.
Nice.
I promised the person that I wouldn't tell the story. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I was more just a witness.
It was a great time.
Yeah, it was a really happy moment, and I was just like, yeah.
Good.
It's really cool to be
That's
here.
Wonderful. You seem to be a great person at being in the way of opportunity. Like something cool's going to happen. You're in the room. You're hanging out. You're doing cool stuff. I know you keep saying that you have a lot of lessons to learn, but I think you've got some pretty cool skills already.
I appreciate
You're
that.
in the right spot at the right time quite a lot. Your music's genuinely good.
Thank you.
I asked you in person. I want to ask you while we're sitting here on the podcast and touching on your own music. So I can tell that the guitars are real, right? Those are, or direct in or whatever. They're actually being played.
They are being played. The solos I sort of recorded in little pieces because I literally wrote them out.
It's
as
a
opposed to
writing,
just
totally.
riffing.
I've been there, yes.
And I'm just not a great guitar soloist.
Well,
so.
I mean, and then you practice it and you play it until you are good at it. Then you take it into the studio. And
well, there's a reason I play rhythm.
Right. No, I agree with that as well.
But I mean, I also love to sing, hence why I do most of the harmonies.
Real.
Yeah.
So the drums are, we talked, they're programmed?
They are programmed in via a stock drummer on Logic, where you can sort of tailor it. You've got different drummers, different beats. You can change the complexity. You can change the kit, like the sound, or you can even like click a button and have it follow one of your tracks.
That's cool. And then you can drag that down and then change whatever you want.
Yeah, you can adjust like how much filling, how many fills you want.
Right. No, I get that. Do you then take that idea And if it's something for Wine Dark Sea, will you have the drums ready and be like, hey, Clay, this, or I'm thinking something like this, or
I'd say more, it's,
room?
I give them more room. I'd usually record a skeleton with just like the guitar chords and the melody. And
chorus, here's what I'm thinking.
There's the stock drummer, and I basically say like, yeah, like I told Clay, like you don't literally have to do this. This is just like
yeah.
And we actually joke about like the limitations of the stock drummers. Like we have a song that's a ballad in 3/4.
Yeah.
And we were just joking about like how terrible the drummer was.
I'm interested. I've asked this a couple of times recently on the podcast, so I'm glad you touched on it already. Because you're absolutely right. Bringing in, I think we said at Kitchen 17, like Chad the drummer, who plays your straight rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how it can be kind of limited. It's basically a loop that you can kind of turn up the fills or turn them down.
Yeah.
But with the advent of AI encroaching into music, how do you feel about it as a tool? Have you heard any completely AI music yet? Are you excited about the prospect of AI maybe fixing Chad the drummer? So it sounds like a guy named Chad came over.
So I view AI as a bit of a slippery slope, but that's just like me not being great at technology or not understanding it. But yeah, I worry about people becoming too reliant on it. And eventually maybe the machines will replace us. I don't know. But all I know is that like one of the companies I recently worked at was recently reinvesting in AI to do some of the things that I used to do. And so that in the back of your head sort of makes you wonder, where are things going to go? And even in your new job search, like if I try and find a different career field for my day job, because I want to enjoy what I'm doing, even if I can't do music, I have to be a little bit practical still and figure out like what's going to be around.
Of course.
What are the robots not going to take away?
Or, you know, what will need to be maintained on the robots and what's coming. I know there's a lot of rumblings finally from like the C-level, CEO, CFO. All of them are incredibly replaceable by an AI algorithm that can make all the best decisions for a company. So it's interesting. I personally see like kind of how Pro Tools and Auto-Tune and I think there's going to be that desire to connect with other people, jump, get sweaty in the crowd, that feeling that you're actually looking for.
The human connection.
Yeah.
I think you can't replace it.
Seriously. And I mean, it'll be cool. People use Auto-Tune now as a flavor.
They do. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it's really, really cool.
It works.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're going for that effect. I'm thinking of like T-Pain back like 10 years ago.
And you know, I remember when Cher popped out with it, people were like, whoa, that's crazy. Then it got overused, and then they finally found it as like, oh, this is a tool we can use, and people still use it now. I think AI is probably going to do the same thing.
I hope.
You know what I mean? It depends. I don't know.
I hope people don't like start using it as a crutch.
Right. You might even see that a little bit. Auto-Tune was a bit of a crutch for a minute.
It was for a while. Like people started accusing artists who used Auto-Tune of like, oh, you can't actually sing. That's why you're using it.
And some, you know what I mean? There were artists that maybe...
And maybe, yeah, that was true
right?
for some of them.
And some of them used it as a tool. I think we'll see that with AI.
But especially how synthesized music was in like the 2010s.
There's another example, just the synthesizer in general.
Just being able to make like all these songs on computers alone.
Wow. Future looks crazy, man.
Yeah, it always does.
Arnim, this has been excellent, my guy. You mentioned your next Wine Dark Sea, so you're playing July 14th, Yardapalooza, but there's one before that.
June 22nd, and we might be at Book Club on May 23rd. I need to follow up on that. I need to figure out who Sam was talking to because they haven't really given him an update lately, so
that chase
I
game.
would love some clarification on whether I should be preparing for that or not.
Mm-hmm. So we'll link everything down in the description. Arnim, this has been amazing, man. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.